Karnataka crisis, and it's going to be a decisive day in the Supreme Court. Perhaps this will have a bearing on the entire crisis that we've been seeing in the state. The Supreme Court is hearing the plea of the 15 rebel MLAs who've asked the court to direct the Speaker to accept their resignation. Now, remember, those resignations were submitted more than a week ago. They've still not been accepted by the Speaker, who says he needs more time. They claim that the Speaker has not decided on the resignation of the lawmakers to bind them with the party whip and disqualify them from membership if they violate the whip on the floor of the House. And those proceedings are underway. The rebel MLAs have been represented by former Attorney General of India, Mukul Rohatgi, who again making the case that the Speaker is not accepting their resignations, that incompetent proceedings are inappropriate. Remember, the Speaker has said he needs more time. He initially said that 8 of those resignations weren't in order. The Supreme Court last week directed the MLAs to meet the Speaker in his chambers in the evening. They went and met him, resubmitted those resignations. So today, the Supreme Court taking up this matter. Remember, it's their resignation that has put the entire coalition government in Karnataka into a crisis and put question marks on whether it's in minority now, which is something the BJP is claiming. Well, let's go across to Maya Sharma for more on this. And Maya, really it hinges on the Speaker's acceptance of these resignation letters. That case is being heard in the Supreme Court right now, and we're getting updates from there. Mukul Rohatgi once again making the case about the Speaker not accepting the resignations. He says the Speaker is not accepting it, incompetent proceedings are inappropriate, and again the role of the Speaker really coming into scrutiny during this hearing.
That is correct, yes. Politicians in Karnataka certainly watching the Supreme Court very closely to see what decision comes out of it. The Speaker himself also had approached the Supreme Court asking for time. He had also approached the Supreme Court asking for time because he was always saying right from the start, Ramesh Kumar always saying from the start, that there was no specific time frame, that in some cases MLAs had even waited for months to see whether their resignations had been accepted. He also made the point at a press meet that he addressed on Thursday, saying that why did they have to go to court in order to meet him? His doors were open. He had been waiting for them to come and meet him. He'd given them time. But of course, those MLAs were in Mumbai at that time and they did not appear at the Speaker's office. They only met the Speaker on Thursday evening for 1 hour after the Supreme Court had directed they do so at 6 p.m. that evening. Then they flew in 10 MLAs, 7 from the Congress, 3 from the JDS, flew in from Mumbai, went to the Speaker's office, resubmitted their resignations in the proper format because he had rejected at least 8 of them, saying that they were not done properly. They submitted their resignations in the proper format and then proceeded to fly back to Mumbai. Now, in a press meet that followed that, Speaker Ramesh Kumar saying, why did they go to court? I was right here. They know where the Speaker's office is. It also must be said that even on Friday, he'd given an appointment to 3 rebel MLAs to come and meet him. They didn't turn up. Yesterday, he'd asked Ramalinga Reddy to meet him at 4 p.m. Ramalinga Reddy cited ill health and asked for another appointment. So the Speaker is saying that he's right here. He wanted to discuss the issues of the MLAs. His stand is he has to know that the resignations were voluntary and not under any kind of coercion from anybody else. So he wanted to meet those MLAs personally. The BJP, on the other hand, is saying that when they've resigned, when they've said they've resigned, what is the delay? R. Ashok telling us that it's a one-line resignation. It's not a massive page of documents. The BJP is certainly under the impression that the Speaker is delaying things. Suresh Kumar, another BJP leader, saying that the image of the Speaker has suffered in all this. But in the state, a trust vote, once the Supreme Court decision is in, a trust vote will begin, a debate will begin on that trust vote on Thursday morning. And the Karnataka Congress and JDS coalition trying the carrot and whip approach, really, threatening absolute disqualification of those MLAs for not obeying a party whip that was issued for them to attend the legislature session.
Right.
Of course they didn't attend. So all eyes on the Supreme Court.
All right, well, let's find out more about what's happening in the Supreme Court. Let's go across to Arvind for that, and also Saurabh joining us from Mumbai, and that is where those rebel MLAs have been, cloistered since this entire crisis began. Arvind, tell us more about what's going on in the Supreme Court, and this is a very, very key day about these complex constitutional matters, about the Speaker and the acceptance of resignations, and how much can the Supreme Court really direct a Speaker?
Garge, the hearing on the pleas by the rebel Karnataka MLAs have started in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court Chief Justice of India Ranjan Gogoi is hearing the matter. Senior advocate and former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi, who is representing all the rebel MLAs, have started his argument. In fact, in the earlier hearing, the Supreme Court has raised two important questions. One, to what extent a constitutional court can give directions to a constitutional authority, that is Speaker. That is the first question. Second question is that if there is an disqualification proceedings under 10th schedule is pending against an MLA, and if the MLA goes on to resign from his MLA post, should the Speaker initiate the disqualification proceedings first, or he should accept the resignation first? So this is the second question the Supreme Court had raised during the last hearing. So now senior advocate and former Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi, who is appearing for the MLAs, has started answering the second question, where he started by saying that on July 10th, 10 MLAs have submitted their resignations to the Speaker, and on that day only two MLAs, disqualification proceedings against two MLAs were pending. In fact, on July 10th, out of 15 MLAs who have approached the Supreme Court, 10 MLAs approached the Speaker saying that they are resigning from their MLA post, and on that day only two disqualification proceedings against two MLAs were pending. So even going by that logic, 8 MLAs, there was no disqualification proceedings pending against the 8 MLAs. So this is the first argument by Mukul Rohatgi. Second thing, what he is saying is that even if there is a disqualification proceedings pending against an MLA under the 10th schedule, Speaker is at liberty to accept the resignation. Speaker can accept the resignation of an MLA so that that MLA can go before the public. Again, he can face the election. What he is trying to say here is that both disqualification and also the resignation, both at the end of the day gives the same value, that that MLA will cease to function as an MLA, and later he can go before the public and he can face a by-election. So that's the argument what Mukul Rohatgi is giving as of now. We have to wait and watch what will be the argument of Speaker, because during the last hearing, Speaker has made it very clear that as per the procedure, he has to ascertain whether these resignations are voluntary or are they based on some coercion. So he is saying that the process are underway and there can't be any direction to the Speaker to decide on all these resignations within a time frame. So we have to wait and watch how the Speaker will counter this argument. Gargi?